teachers' unions and politicians demand that states restrict learning opportunities for our students. We'll talk about it today on the broadcast. Hey folks, welcome to Jay Sekulow Live. This is Jordan Sekulow, and as you know, we have launched a brand new legal initiative across the country representing parents with special needs students who need special programming, with students in tough financial situations. There's an example even out of Oregon. I mean, get how, and this is just to me so absurd, almost to the point of evil, that the governor of Oregon, who's of course a Democrat, Governor Kate Brown, issued an order that they're closing schools. So she closed all of the charter schools as well. But in the order to close all of the charter schools for in-person class, you know what they added? That those charter schools also had to close all virtual learning. So if you were a student at a charter school in Oregon and you knew that your school was not going to be open in person, your virtual learning has been taken away. So I will tell you, that is just one of the extreme issues we are looking at getting legally involved in right away at the American Center for Law and Justice. As of, and I was back on Fox News last night, as of about Friday morning, as we get the numbers coming in about the contacts, if people need it, if you think you need our help, by the way, and you're going to face significant hardship because of your school closings, because whether it's financial, the fact that you may be in a single parent or a working parent or two working parents that don't have the money to afford childcare, don't have transportation to go pick up the materials or pick up the food that's provided for your child, since the school buses won't be running in many places. If you need assistance because they're saying, hey, we'll do virtual learning, what about the equipment? Here's an iPad. Well, what if I don't have the right electricity? What if I don't have the right internet access? What if I don't can't afford that? Shouldn't the school district, in a sense, have to utilize the billions of dollars that are available to school districts across the country and be able to utilize that in a form of almost like a voucher for during this time of pandemic, even in states that don't have voucher programs? Right now as it stands, and this was really as of about Friday morning is when this first cutoff was done, we had already heard from hundreds of individual parents. So over 300 individual parents in 22 different states. Fox News did this for us yesterday on Steve Hilton's The Next Revolution last night. That is how many states we have heard from. So we're talking about significant issues here, and we have formulated a plan. And you can see that plan now at ACLJ.org. But we're going to walk through it today, as well as take your questions and phone calls.
Folks, the ACLJ is doing work all across the country on all the issues that you care about, all across the world on the issues you care about. And we're able to broadcast it to you because of your support. We're able to do the work in our country because of your support. We're able to do the work internationally because of your financial support. And this is a great time to make a financial contribution to the ACLJ because it's a matching challenge month. What does that mean? We have a group of donors ready to match every donation that comes into the ACLJ right now at ACLJ.org. You're literally doubling the impact of your donation. Your $25 donation, that's what you're charged on your credit card. But that's like $50 for us to ACLJ. No amount too small, no amount too big. It all makes a huge impact. Go to ACLJ.org, be part of our matching challenge, and donate today.
For 30 years, the American Center for Law and Justice has been dedicated to protecting your religious and constitutional freedoms. Because of you, we've seen great success in the courts and Congress concerning the issues that matter most to you and your families. ACLJ Chief Counsel Jay Sekulow.
Our decades-long commitment to the Constitution and the rule of law is at the center of everything we do. The bottom line, our work could not take place without your generous support.
It's a critical time for our nation and our world. With so many challenges facing our country, the work of the American Center for Law and Justice has never been more important. There's no better way to support the ACLJ than through online giving.
We truly appreciate your financial support. Without it, it would be impossible to do our work here and around the globe. And the best way to support our work is to make your financial gifts online at aclj.org.
Donating online is safe and secure, and an online gift at aclj.org can be put to work immediately, enabling the ACLJ to continue the battle against abortion giant Planned Parenthood.
These are our young people in their 20s and 30s that are doing this, are fighting for life at a whole new level to beat back the abortion juggernaut. We've got a whole group of young lawyers that are defending them.
To protect Christians facing persecution.
Release of Andrew Brunson. He is the American evangelical from North Carolina, held in Turkey for more than 2 years.
We're grateful to ACLJ who put it out to these people, they were getting all this out.
I'm thankful, I'm grateful, and actually I'm astounded.
To stand up for our good friend Israel. To work to uncover the corrupt deep state in Washington, and so much more. Take part in our matching challenge today. You can make a difference in the work we do. Give a gift today online at aclj.org.
All right, welcome back to Jay Sekulow Live. This is Jordan Sekulow. We are talking about how the ACLJ, and we are preparing to take action, both a representation of individual families, parents of children, legal guardians of children in K through 12 public schools facing, all sorts of different issues because of the pandemic. I mean, you could keep going through the list of from everything from full closures to virtual learning, but how's that going to work, to who's going to be at home to take care of the kids if you're a single parent that works or two-parent working home, transportation. Oh, the school says, we'll still provide you food. You come pick it up. What if you rely on public transportation and you're on your way to work? If public transportation, by the way, is even running in your city or state, how does your child get that? Child care issues. I mean, the list goes on. And of course, there's the special needs issues as well. Now, I want to go right to Harry Hutchinson, and we'll go back to Thantu on the federal side. But Harry, there's kind of steps that we're looking at taking here, and the steps we lay out in the blog. It's called "The ACLJ Prepares to Take Action to Advance Justice and Prevent Widespread Education Failures During the Pandemic." And I look at step one, Harry, and it's that ACLJ attorneys are going to be sending individual demand letters that we're preparing now to school districts on behalf of our clients, demanding that they provide accommodations, and I think it's important, and aid. I actually bolded the word aid to eliminate deficiencies that continue during the pandemic. So tell people about that first step.
Well, Jordan, you are precisely correct. In the United States, equality education should not be a privilege reserved for some, but a right guaranteed for all. And so states essentially have the obligation of ensuring that public schools are able to teach the basic literacy, calculating, and verbal skills necessary to enable children to eventually function productively as civic participants capable of voting or serving on juries. So at the ACLJ, we are prepared to first encourage local school boards to think out of the box in order to ensure that they meet their obligation, in order to ensure that there is indeed educational equality of opportunity under the law. And so if they're unwilling to do so, however, then we are prepared to take legal action on behalf of appropriate parents and children.
Folks, we start out with those demand letters to schools, and we'll be happy to appear before school boards. In fact, I remember as a young kid, my dad used to appear before school boards all across the country on religious liberty issues. Now, it's a different issue, but we're ready to send the attorneys out. Now, some of those are going to be done virtually right now because like how he did his most recent Supreme Court case, my dad did it by phone. It was like a conference call with the Supreme Court justices asking questions. So, and it might be like a Zoom situation where you're video conferencing with the school board. So we're ready to do that along with the demand letters. And then those who are allowing appearances in person will do that. As well. And then, as Harry said, the second option is that if there's not a satisfactory response, we're going to look at what legal avenues, because based on each individual's situation, why are we there for the school board for that person or group of people that are in a kind of similar situation? What do we need to do to legally to achieve justice and eliminate the existing education deficiencies? I want to go right to the phones. Kelly is calling from Georgia on line 1. Kelly, welcome to Jay Sekulow Live.
Hi. My issue is our school, Henry County, Georgia, they gave us the right to choose either online or on campus. Before that choice ended, which was this past Friday, they took away the choice. Our Henry County Board of Education took away that choice, and they said everybody is going back virtually. I have 3 children in the county system. My 16-year-old child is blind. She did not receive any of her services from her teacher for the visually impaired. None of her work was adapted when all the schools shut down this past spring. She is not mentally slow in any way. I expect my child to go to college. But if her work is not adapted for her to be able to learn, she cannot do the work. I am being forced right now, with them going back only virtually, to put my child in a residential academy for the blind that only promotes trade jobs. They do not promote education, so that my child can get an education. I need some help.
Harry, we're specifically addressing this as well because there are school districts failing to provide the education assistance required by a federal law, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act.
Absolutely. So it is very possible to, A, get into court, and B, to challenge, and C, to do it successfully, the failure of local school boards to adequately and robustly accommodate students who may suffer from a disability. And so here you have a clear and unmistakable case of the failure of the local board of education and perhaps the state board of education to take into account the special needs of this particular student and his or her family. And so I think it is clear beyond question that this needs to be challenged. We need to incentivize local school boards to step up to the plate and to provide an adequate education to every single student.
And Than, let's get back to some of the federal issues as well quickly. I know we're running short on this one, but there's also something called the A+ Act. Tell people who's sponsoring that and what it would do.
Yeah, the sponsor in the United States Senate, Jordan, is Senator Steve Daines. In the House, it's Congressman Mark Walker. And look, I think it's directly relevant to Kelly's call because a state has a mandate to have a strategy for students like Kelly's son. And if a state has a strategy to provide assistance to that, they ought to be able to use federal dollars to accomplish that strategy. It's not what happens right now, Jordan. The dollars come from the federal government, and then the state has to accomplish the federal objectives, not the state objectives. So I would say to Kelly, we're here to make sure the school board does their job, but we also want to help that school board, Jordan. We want to say to that school board, you ought to be able to take the federal dollars and use it to accomplish the strategy that you have to provide an education to Kelly's son. So it's got to work together, Jordan.
Folks, the ACLJ is doing work all across the country on all the issues that you care about, all across the world on the issues you care about. And we're able to broadcast it to you because of your support. We're able to do the work in our country because of your support. We're able to do the work internationally because of your financial support. And this is a great time to make a financial contribution to the ACLJ because it's a matching challenge month. What does that mean? We have a group of donors ready to match every donation that comes into the ACLJ right now at aclj.org. You're literally doubling the impact of your donation. Your $25 donation, that's what you're charged on your credit card. That's like $50 for us to ACLJ. No amount too small, no amount too big. It all makes a huge impact. Go to aclj.org, be part of our matching challenge, and donate today.
Thanks to your support of the ACLJ, we have had many victories.
The IRS now formally apologizing to Tea Party groups.
If any group feels like they're being targeted, they can go to federal court and bring our case. That's a victory.
It's one of the most significant wins in the ACLJ's history, to take on the IRS and win.
For more than 27 years, the ACLJ has been fighting for freedom and liberty in the United States and around the globe.
These are young people in their 20s and 30s that are doing this. They're fighting for life at a whole new level to beat back the abortion juggernaut. But I actually think we're winning this. This is one of the social issues we're winning.
The release of Andrew Brunson.
We're flying and they finally left Turkish airspace. It's like, okay, we're really out of Turkey and free again.
We need your help as we continue this work here in the United States and around the world. Join us online at the American Center for Law and Justice at aclj.org.
I want to go right to the phones because it talks about something that we also is, I heard about this when I was on with Steve Hilton, the guest who followed me from Cato that focuses a lot on school choice, and he works for Reason Magazine, talked about how I mentioned Oregon. He mentioned also the situation in California and Pennsylvania with charter schools. I immediately notified our team to check this out. Layla's calling about that in California on line 4. Layla, welcome to Jay Sekulow Live.
Hi, thank you for taking my call.
Thanks, Layla.
Here it is. As a matter of fact, I live in Riverside, California, Marietta. So one of the highest taxes for the schools. As a matter of fact, I tried to get my son transferred from his current school here in Marietta. And I called the charter school, and the charter school told me, well, we can only put him on a wait list. And I asked why, and it's because they're not being funded. They don't want to fund the charter schools.
Right.
And this school has 3 days on site. And my son, I feel bad for the lady who does have a child with special needs. But what about mental needs? Being with his friends, and
sure.
I can see the depression in his face. And I'm an overprivileged or whatever, but I really worry about my kid's mental, because he wants to be with his friends. He wants to do even for 3 days. And the fact that I pay so much taxes for him to go, and this is why I moved right here, for him to go to good schools. But now I don't even have the option. And I didn't like the way he finished his last year. He barely did anything because whatever he had scored or whatever, that was it. He didn't have to do anything more. So,
well, Layla, let me say this so that when you, because I want to make it clear, when you called the charter school, they said you have to put you on a wait list. It was the reason they have a wait list is because they're not receiving their funding.
Yeah, correct. They're not getting funded. They don't even know if they will get any funds.
Because in our blog, in our action items that we're going to be taking, we address this specifically, and I just mentioned that we know about it in Oregon, and we're hearing about it in California and Pennsylvania. They're all kind of uniquely how they're doing it. In Oregon, Harry, let's first talk about what happened in Oregon, Harry. This was, to me, almost evil what Governor Brown did to charter schools.
I think you're right. I think her move was very, very vindictive. Teachers' unions fear competition. They fear school choice. They fear homeschooling, and they fear charter schools. So in Oregon, Governor Brown has effectively shut down online charter education, issuing an order that closed all public charter schools as defined in Oregon Statute 338.005 sub 2. What the Oregon governor did is absolutely outrageous because online learning opportunities actually ensure proper social distancing during a pandemic. But I think at the end of the day, governors in Oregon and California, they care more about what teachers' unions are pushing rather than actually educating the kids. And so they are willing to use children as pawns. They are willing to deprive children of education so long as it advances politicians' political agenda. And so I think at the end of the day, this must end, this must stop, and this needs to be challenged.
We're seeing this absurd action in Oregon where they've said the charter school can't even virtually operate. That is, again, folks, you know what's sickening here to me, as we've said time and time again? Politicians, teachers' unions, and bureaucrats and administrators are putting themselves and politics in front of children. they're making decisions based on what's best for their politics. They think. I can't imagine shutting a bunch of kids' schools down, but maybe they think shutting down those charter schools, well, that they need those teachers' unions endorsements, and those teachers' unions don't like those charter schools, so we'll just shut them down. But not only are we going to shut them down in person, we won't even allow them to operate virtually. And in Oregon, they're not asking for more money to do that. They're just being told, no, you can't. So where do those kids go? And we have got to stop this in the United States of America, Than. I mean, I want to go to the federal side of this too, because this idea that we put teachers' unions and politicians first instead of kids is absurd, but it's always what we're fighting against.
Well, and the question to California and Oregon and the other states like that, Jordan, has to be, what are you going to do? It is not enough for them to say what they will not allow, what they're going to shut down, what will be prohibited. Jordan, they have an obligation, they have a responsibility, they have a mandate as the entity responsible for those tax dollars to say what the path forward is. How are they going to provide access to education? And Jordan, the thing here is these tax dollars continue to flow. Local, state, and federal, they all continue to flow. That is why even before this pandemic, Jordan, we were in favor of school choice. We were in favor of school vouchers. We think that more dollars, whether they're derived on the local level, the state level, or the federal level, should follow the student. So as it would apply to Layla's call, Jordan, more of those tax dollars would be available for Layla to decide what best meets the needs for her student. But look, that's even more true now when you're in a pandemic, when some of the traditional options are off the table. Jordan, the tax dollars are continuing to flow. What does not stop is the state of California's obligation to use those tax dollars to say what they can do for Layla. What we're seeing from most of these states, Jordan, is what they won't do or what they say they can't do. Okay, that's fine. What will you do? What are you going to do to provide for Layla's son? That's the question that we're asking.
Let me go to Mike's call from Oregon on line 1. Mike, welcome to Jay Sekulow Live. You're on the air.
Thank you for taking my call.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, my question is this right here. I have an 18-year-old autistic son who's low-function nonverbal. He needs to have sensory and life skills to be able to function in society. And when the school closed down last year, they just point-blank told me, there's nothing we can do. Sorry. And then I also have a 9-year-old daughter, and my concern is this. I'm a single father, and I'm very avid on education because that's the key to getting out of poverty.
Right.
And I honestly believe that she's getting further and further behind. Now, when this mentally gets her and she's a year or two behind because of all this, are they liable for the stress and the anguish it puts on my daughter and the lack of education that it will ruin her future?
Well, I think, there's two issues there, Mike. And Harry, the first issue for his child with special needs, that again falls right under, Mike, go to aclj.org/help. Put the information in, like I told the other caller, that you talk to us on the air, aclj.org/help, about both of your students. Because, Harry, there is the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. The school cannot just say, sorry, we can't do anything for your special needs child.
I think that is correct. And I think if these school districts are left unchallenged and left to their own devices, they will actually put many of these kids behind in violation of both federal law and, I would argue, in violation of both state and federal constitutional provisions. So most states have obligated themselves to ensure the availability of a sound basic education to all children. And so what are they actually doing in cases where students suffer from a disability? If they're not doing anything, then the state is failing its own state constitutional provisions, and it's arguably failing the federal constitution and certainly federal law under the IDEA Act, which protects disabled children.
Folks, the ACLJ is doing work all across the country on all the issues that you care about, all across the world on the issues you care about. And we're able to broadcast it to you because of your support. We're able to do the work in our country because of your support. We're able to do the work internationally because of your financial support. And this is a great time to make a financial contribution to the ACLJ because it's a matching challenge month. What does that mean? We have a group of donors ready to match every donation that comes into the ACLJ right now at ACLJ.org. You're literally doubling the impact of your donation. Your $25 donation, that's what you're charged on your credit card, but that's like $50 for us to ACLJ. No amount too small, no amount too big. It all makes a huge impact. Go to ACLJ.org, be part of our matching challenge, and donate today.
Thanks to your support of the ACLJ, we have had many victories.
The IRS now formally apologizing to Tea Party groups.
If any group feels like they're being targeted, they can go to federal court and bring our case. That's a victory.
It's one of the most significant wins in the ACLJ's history, to take on the IRS and win.
For more than 27 years, the ACLJ has been fighting for freedom and liberty in the United States and around the globe.
These are young people in their 20s and 30s that are doing this. They're fighting for life at a whole new level to beat back the abortion juggernaut. But I actually think we're winning this. This is one of the social issues we're winning.
The release of Andrew Brunson.
We're flying and they finally left Turkish airspace. It's like, okay, we're really out of Turkey and free again.
We need your help as we continue this work here in the United States and around the world. Join us online at the American Center for Law and Justice at ACLJ.org.
We are very excited to announce a new ACLJ initiative, a new ACLJ program. It's what we've worked on for years, decades at the ACLJ, which is school choice cases at the Supreme Court.
I'm very interested in creating a foundation of education for those folks in the middle income arena, as well as kids living in poverty, kids like myself who perhaps live in the wrong zip code, going to underperforming schools.
When you have a situation where the poorest among us cannot afford or do not have the opportunity to get the education as those who's living in zip codes that are more affluent, that has got to change.
It is time for affirmative action for public school children.
It is a civil rights issue, but particularly in the Black community, and every child has the right to a solid and good education.
We wanted to look at what the ACLJ could do as an initiative to really assist what we believe is most important.
And by giving parents, especially underprivileged parents, the opportunity to give their child the best education possible, that is a goal that every American should strive for.
When parents have choice in education, I think their kids have a better chance of success.
The ACLJ, we've launched our school choice initiative to ensure that every state in the country allows parents to choose the school they believe will provide their kids the best education, whether it's private, religious, charter, homeschool, or public school, regardless of their economic standing.
Had it not been for education, I would not be sitting here today. I think of education as the gateway to the American dream.
We're going to work at the federal level, the state level. Opportunity shouldn't be dictated by what zip code you live in. Sign the petition now to demand school choice, justice, and equality of opportunity for every American child.
If not now, when? If not us, who?